My dear friends, our gospel text from John chapter 1 from verse 1 to 18 gives us the prologue to the gospel according to St. John. The theme is, "And the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us." My goal is to share 2 points using St. John's understanding of the Logos. Christmas, we know, is the time we celebrate the incarnation story. St. John, through his prologue, teaches us that Jesus, whose birth we celebrate, is divine, and his mission is to save us. The gospel passage says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." By starting this way, St. John sends our minds back to the book of Genesis. The book of Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 to 3 says, "In the beginning, before the heavens and the earth were created, the earth was a formless wasteland, and darkness had covered the face of the earth. Then God said, 'Let there be light,' and there was light." My dear friends, so while the book of Genesis gives us the creation account, John's prologue gives us a recreation account, so that what was lost in the first account may be restored in Christ Jesus. Again, for John, Jesus is the spoken word or the creative word in the creation account, and his mission is to save. Jesus, who was with God from the beginning, is God, and in fact, all things came to be through him. He has become flesh in order to save a fallen world. Celebrating Christmas, therefore, should remind all of us about salvation. Jesus' birth is to save and not to destroy. The second point to emphasize is when the text says, "And the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us." Jesus, who is divine, has become flesh, to mean that he has become a human being like us. This is good news. God, who is divine, has become human, so that we who are humans may become divine. Just imagine how it feels like when a high-profile person decides to identify with the lowly or the vulnerable in society. The incarnation narrative reminds us about how our dignity is elevated, that God has deemed it fit to become like us. My dear friends, celebrating Christmas should help us appreciate relationships and seek to foster quality relationships. The incarnation story should motivate us to work on our relationships. As God stoops low to lift us up, we must also be proactive to impact meaningfully on people's lives. Celebrating Christmas should inspire us to put a smile on the faces of people. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. We who are beneficiaries of God's gesture of love must share this love with one another. This is what Christmas is about. "And the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us." We must also endeavor to assume the conditions of our fellow man and share what we have in order to dignify one another. May God bless us all, and Merry Christmas to all of you.